Building Reader's Advisory Knowledge one book at a time. This is a recording of a presentation given at the 2018 Ontario Library Association Superconference. This presentation was prepared and delivered by Andrea Dunn and Jodi Marr. Using bite-sized e-learning modules, Markham Public Library has been building staff readers' advisory skills. Learn how this has impacted customer service, improved staff readers' advisory engagement, and empowered staff to feel comfortable actively participating in the reader's advisory process. This presentation includes an overview of our successes, failures, and best practices.
Today we will be discussing how we used e-learning to impact our customer service, improve staff RA engagement, and increase staff comfort in providing readers advisory service. As part of this process, we took a hard look at our staff's current readers advisory knowledge and worked to address and identify gaps in their skill set. We will introduce you to MPL Education, our new learning website, which was launched in preparation for the opening of our new branch. This site aims to provide new and existing staff a place where they can learn independently at their own pace. We believe that the most important aspect of libraries are the people who work there, and we believe that Reader's Advisory is an essential service that we provide. That's why investing in staff training needs to be an ongoing priority. Our staff and their skills are the best representation of who we are. They communicate our value to our customers through the services that they provide.
In 2016, Andrea asked me to be on a panel for RA in a Day. The topic was Reader's Advisory Training. At the same time, I was also asked to facilitate a workshop at the eLearning and Library Symposium on how to use the Articulate Storyline software. Andrea and I had been discussing RA training for a while. She and the OLA committee were in the process of updating the RA competencies, and which we both thought would be a great place to start. I knew I couldn't name the competencies before I developed the training. I used this opportunity to create an intro to the Reader's Advisory Competencies e-learning module, and then used that as my demo file for the e-learning software workshop. This was our first collaboration, and the finished product was great. From here, we got the go-ahead to continue to develop Reader's Advisory training for staff, and that is where this project began. MPL Education, or MPL EDU for short, is an online training site developed by the Markham Public Library Learning and Growth Department. This website provides onboarding for new library staff, as well as continued learning and professional development for long-standing employees. The goal is to have all library staff fully trained and competent in their skills required not only to assist customers but with their library-related needs, but also build staff knowledge and abilities so they can exceed customer expectations. MPL Education covers a wide variety of topics, including customer service, collections, programming, health and safety, policies and procedures, etc. It is a growing resource of e-learning modules made up of engaging content like videos, quizzes, visuals, digital badges, and text that strive to make learning fun and easy to achieve. We won't be able to share all of our MPL Education resources with you today because they include internal policies and procedures, but we are going to share with you a sample of the site we built. And we have included in this sample some of the actual Reader's Advisory training created for staff. Feel free to explore this content and let us know what you think, because we want you to know that you can do this too. All of MPL Education was created using free and open source resources. We'll provide an overview of them at the end of this presentation, and I'll also highlight them as I go through the site creation process. So the Markham Public Library is in the unique position that it has a training department. We call this the Learning and Growth Department. The Learning and Growth Department consists of the Manager of Learning and Growth, the Learning and Growth Librarian, and a Recruitment and HR Administrator. It's a very small department. The Learning and Growth Librarian provides staff training to all library staff, and it's a lot of work. There are over 15 different positions at MPL, and each one has a unique training needs. But the majority of our staff fall into three main categories: information staff, specifically Library Service Associates or LSAs, circulation staff, specifically Borrower Services Associates or BSCs, and pages. The LSAs make up the majority of our frontline staff, with currently 62 active full-time, part-time, and contract staff in total, and the BSCs are right behind them at 51. Keeping up with turnover and change in these positions is a difficult task. Even just maintaining records and managing compliance requirements can be a full-time commitment. We had developed an onboarding document to help managers and supervisors train new staff and manage the orientation process, but staff training needs to be an ongoing process. Year after year, lack of training was a continuing concern that staff voiced when asked for feedback during our staff satisfaction surveys. No matter what the Learning and Growth Department did, we just couldn't impact a change in this driver. We would roll out more and more in-person training. We created full-day intensive courses. We promoted monthly vendor webinars, hired expert presenters, and we hold a 3-day-long staff conference. We try to engage and provide training to as many staff as possible. Staff that attend training give us excellent feedback, but each time the staff satisfaction survey is completed, more training continues to be the requested solution to issues. But is training really the solution? By exploring this question, we took a hard look at the way we were delivering training to our staff. Although everything was laid out in the onboarding paperwork, these documents were too text-heavy and difficult to complete. Compliance was hard to track because they never made it back to the Learning and Growth team, and we placed a lot of expectations on the managers and supervisors to do most of the heavy lifting when it came to filling in all the learning gaps. Staff were unable to learn independently, and the scheduling of training placed a burden on their time. We knew we could do better. We just need to figure out how. The answer to this is an LMS, or a learning management system. An LMS is software that allows you to administer, document, track, report, and even deliver training. With an LMS, we would be able to see who has done what training, when they were last trained, and basically make sure that we were creating a team of staff that were all given the same foundations to succeed. Research into learning management system possibilities were disappointing. They were costly to implement, have big IT requirements, and even if they were free and open source, and we had our own servers, which we didn't, often required heavy technological expertise for their administration. But they did everything we needed. The more I looked into having an LMS, the more I knew that it was exactly what we needed. So I broke it down. I figured out the basics of what we needed and how we could do it. I really just needed a free, web-based place to create and host my information. Then I needed to link my information to a tracking system so I could monitor completion. Finally, the last component was someone to manage it. This, of course, was a job for the Learning and Growth librarian. After I discovered Google Sites, everything came together really quickly, and I was up and running in about 8 months. Now I'm going to share with you the link to our sample site for our content. We encourage you to please sit through the rest of this presentation as it has some great resources about how this was created. During the rest of the presentation, you will see screenshots of the site. You can also go directly to the site via this URL. This is our homepage. From here you can access the learning modules by competency or by job position. Here is what the top of our LSA page looks like. It includes a short job description and image of our hard-working employees. We organize the learning by competency, and after staff feedback, we will be adjusting it to also correspond with the order in which training should be completed. IMMPL introduces staff to some of our organization-specific initiatives, like the strategic plan, our in-house developed classification system, C3, our award-winning customer service philosophy, and working in the city of Markham. Our list of competencies include I am MPL, I am healthy and safe, I exceed customer expectations, I create an outstanding customer service experience, I am a literacy expert, I am an information professional. I am creative. I am a tech worker. I meet the community's needs. I am organized. I support community connections. And I am a team player. These headings make clear our expectations for our staff. MPL education follows a learning philosophy to guide its development. These are some of the best practices that we use to ensure that the training is engaging. Bite-sized learning. The learning module should be short and sweet. No videos included in the pages should be longer than 5 minutes, because people won't sit through it anyway. It should only take 10 to 15 minutes to read through a module and then 5 minutes to complete the quiz. Most of the modules can be completed in 15 to 20 minutes depending on the user, with the longest modules like Respect in the Workplace or Health and Safety taking 45 minutes to an hour. We want to make the learning bite-sized or short and sweet and informative. We want staff to be able to learn something with the least amount of off-the-floor time as possible. The biggest complaint or criticism we receive about training is that there is no time to do it. The staff want to learn but have so many other responsibilities and priorities. Scheduling can often be an issue. Cite your sources. If you grab information from somewhere, then cite it. Each page has an end section that cites the resources used as well as the sources for the visuals. Staff are encouraged to vet the information that they are given and read more from the various cited sources. Support in-depth e-learning modules with instructor-led training and hands-on workshops. MPL Education is a resource for providing staff training. It is being supplemented with monthly planned instructor-led workshops, and it will let my department better track who has completed the training requirements outlined by their position. Hands-on and in-person training appeals to a different kind of learner and offers staff a chance to build teamwork skills and share information. We strive to continue to learn and grow. We use staff feedback, evaluations, and quiz results to guide the growth of the site and understand what staff needs the Learning and Growth Department can address next. Staff feedback has provided us with some much needed direction. For example, information staff wanted more database training, reference interview training, search skills training, and readers advisory training. The evaluation process helped us to break this down even further into specific areas of need, like nonfiction readers advisory. Information sharing. It is our goal to centralize and capture training and information that staff create on an individualized or sectioned off environment. Our staff are our experts in the field. We want to record and share this information so that all staff can benefit from it and eliminate silos created by branch or department. Subject matter experts. The training department does not need to be the expert in all training, but they are the experts in how to deliver training. Work with subject matter experts to provide content, and then help them shape their content into training that all staff can grow from. Play to learn. Look for opportunities to gamify the learning or add an element of play. Learning for all ages is easier to accomplish when it doesn't feel like learning at all. By making the learning into a game, the learner gets more out of it with less effort. Here is a list of resources that you can use to DIY your own training site. MPL Education was created using the new Google Sites. Google Sites is a totally free and easy to use website builder. It does not require any coding experience, and it integrates really well with other Google products like YouTube, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Forms, etc. Basically, I wanted something that would look good with very little effort. The drawbacks of it was that after I became an expert, there wasn't any more options to customize things, like change the color of the text or center pictures just so. Also, you aren't able to create a page template, so there is a lot of copying and pasting when I get things to look the way that I want them. There is no recovery option either. If you delete something, you can't get it back, and there is no version history. All of the images and icons used for MPL education are open source as well. This means that I need to cite the sources most of the time in order to avoid any copyright infringement, which I'm totally okay with because this is just good practice. My favorite sites are freepik.com, flaticon.com, Unsplash, and Vecteezy. I use Pixlr, which is a free cloud-based visual editing software similar to Photoshop or Illustrator, to create my own icon, logos, etc. Having the right visuals is really important to maintaining a consistent look and feel. The users need to feel that the site is well planned and that it looks both professional and organized. They want something that is graphically appealing and consistent in its delivery of the content. As you go through the site, you will notice that the e-learning modules often follow the same structure for presenting information. Curated content is content that you find elsewhere. It is not something that you created, but that someone else has put together and works for your purposes. Why reinvent the wheel? There is so much excellent information available already. Or at least you think so until you start looking for it. Curated content can come in a variety of resources: online quizzes, genre websites, YouTube, etc. And when you can't find it, you make it. This takes a whole lot of time, but in the end, you get a great product that you can present at conferences like this or share with just other library systems. Staff like it when they know that the content they are given is tailored just to them. It tends to increase their confidence in it and in you as a trainer. But staff do not take into consideration how time intensive or what the background process looks like in creating your own content. That's why if you are going to do it, you must create something that will stand the test of time. No dates, nothing that will get updated like a database walkthrough, etc. And every time you break this rule, it will come back to haunt you, guaranteed. Quizzes are a great way to check and see if the work you do is getting through. And while most staff seem to have little issues with them, we have been surprised by some of the information that the quizzes have revealed. We can then use this information to create an in-person training or more in-depth training that will get all staff to the level we expect them. The quizzes were created using Google Forms, and this is a great tool. Again, it's free, easy to use, and looks good. Digital badges were the cherry on top when it came to the MPL education site. We used these as a way to reward staff and offer additional incentives for completing e-learning. We use the Badger.io, which is an open source digital badging platform. Staff can collect badges to help visualize the training they have completed and share these via social media, etc.
Why RA? Although Reader's Advisory is a core library service, it often gets overlooked in the grand scheme of training. MPL had a poor history of providing RA training, even though we had excellent in-person content developed. The training consisted of a day-long intensive that was hard to prioritize with staff scheduling. The Learning and Growth Department was asked to sum up this training into a 20-minute presentation to be delivered during staff meetings, but this minimized the impact of the training and only caused staff to further doubt their competence in providing the service. Traditionally, RA training has been offered in person to library staff. The training for staff was limited to brief presentations or lists of resources that staff can access. This brief training is not enough time to introduce staff to all the genres, resources, or the nuances of the RA conversation. Also, annually, a longer RA training session of between 3 to 4 hours would be offered to new staff or as a refresher for existing staff. This in-depth training contained a lot of information at once and doesn't allow all staff members to attend. Staff often come away from this training overwhelmed and forget a lot of what was taught in such a short period of time. Current hiring practices focus on customer service and technological know-how, with less focus on love or interest in reading or books. Onboarding provides a general introduction to RA with an overview of the RA conversation, genres, appeal factors, and a demonstration of databases, such as Novelist. However, the new hire must learn about these resources in a short period of time and when learning other duties of the job, so the RA focus is usually lost along the way. When surveyed, 41% of library staff at MPL reported never having received Reader's Advisory training before. MPL focuses on the relationship between the library staff and customers. Learn what your customers are interested in so that you can direct them to the collections that are of interest to them. Marketing plays a key role in the provision of indirect Reader's Advisory through staff picks displays, highlighting titles that staff members have enjoyed and recommend to the public. The goal of these displays is to not only highlight titles of interest, but to increase circulation with the side effect of introducing customers to new titles, authors, and genres. In order to help customers with the staff picks or other displays, you must know the principles of Reader's Advisory and know how to talk to customers about these titles. Reader's Advisory training is a benefit to library staff and customers. Library staff learn or further develop their skills in talking with customers, gain confidence in sharing their interests with others, and by learning about appeal factors, genres, and discovering new titles. Customers will benefit from staff knowledge of Reader's Advisory by receiving consistent and reliable information from someone who is interested in learning about their reading tastes and preferences and is invested in finding them something to read. Taking this feedback into consideration, we began to work on making Reader's Advisory the main focus of the initial MPL education site. Jodi and I met to discuss which areas would be covered and how to divide up content. We decided to start with a pre-evaluation survey to determine how much staff already knew about Reader's Advisory and what they wanted to know about. To date, 66 staff members have completed the pre-evaluation survey. We also decided that the following would get their own modules: an introduction to Reader's Advisory, the RA conversation, appeal factors, individual genres, indirect RA methods, why read, and RA for children and teens. Once these topics were selected, Jodi and I brainstormed what to include in each module and set up a timeline for completion. Overall, we had a 6-month window to do research, create content, and introduce the training to staff. Jodi and I decided the priority in completing each module so that they could be launched at different times. This served the purpose of being able to remind staff about this training program when a new module was introduced, as well as to not overwhelm staff with a large release of modules to complete. When the MPL education site went live, Jodi emailed the entire system with the links and the goals and purpose of why this training was put together. Staff were encouraged to visit the site and to try the initial modules, and to complete the pre-training evaluation. This allowed staff to provide feedback and to also experiment with this new training module. Branches where the leadership teams demonstrated the most support had the highest number of staff engagement. As part of the pre-evaluation survey, staff were asked to rate from 1 to 5 how important Reader's Advisory is as a service library staff provide from both their own and customers' perspectives. 70% of library staff believe Reader's Advisory is a valuable service that library staff provide. They also believe that 60% of customers believe it is a valuable service that staff provide. If we believe Reader's Advisory is a core service that libraries provide, then we need our staff to also believe that this is true, since they are the frontline advocates of Reader's Advisory. How they treat Reader's Advisory will reflect in their customer service and the importance they place on it with their customer interactions. An essential component in the provision of Reader's Advisory is confidence in providing these services to customers. Approximately 80% of library staff who completed the pre-training evaluation stated they were confident to extremely confident in their reader's advisory skills. This high level of confidence could impact the amount of staff participation in the training modules, as they feel that they are already providing excellent reader's advisory service. In the midterm evaluation, 100% of respondents stated that they learned something new and had gained greater skills that they can use to provide readers advisory services. This shows that the important role that professional development continues to play in our changing work environment. The feedback collected in the pre-evaluation survey mirrored what research and modules we plan to introduce. A significant amount asked for training on the RA conversation, and approximately a third of respondents said they did not know the steps to take in the RA conversation. As mentioned earlier, surprisingly, a third of respondents stated they had never received any RA training before. The majority of staff who said that they had not received any reader's advisory training before answered that 10% of their time is spent providing reader's advisory. However, one staff member answered that they spend 70% of their time doing reader's advisory without any training. Two other staff members reported they spend 50% of their time doing reader's advisory without having any training. These three answers are concerning. If staff are not fully aware of the steps required to provide reader's advisory and the resources available to them, what impact is this knowledge gap having on customer service? Other statistics gathered during the pre-evaluation indicated that approximately 63% of staff did not know what the reader's advisory competencies were. And 40% of staff did not know the steps to the RA conversation. 7 staff members specifically left comments in their pre-evaluation survey about how they would like to learn more about the RA conversation. In statistics collected as part of the MPL Survey Weeks in 2017, a total of 9,463 readers' advisory questions were tracked. If this many RA questions are being asked, and if staff are not fully trained in the RA conversation, then we won't be providing the best service possible. In response to this feedback, we moved up the launch of the appeal factors and the RA conversation modules instead of focusing on genres. A benefit of this is that library staff can see that their feedback matters and that we are taking their comments seriously.
Drawing on previous readers' advisory training, we used a lot of the content that had already been developed to guide what we wanted staff to know. But because these were e-learning modules, where the previous training had been instructor-led talk-at-you style training, we needed to find more resources that engage the learners on different levels. In e-learning, it is important to supplement text-heavy learning with other types of resources like videos, images, infographics, animations, games, and quizzes. Curating this content can be challenging because sometimes the information that you think should be there just isn't. Why can't I find a short video on the RA conversation that goes through the steps? Why isn't there a video about what the romance genre is that doesn't get really raunchy? You will come across a lot of school projects, great videos that fit your needs but have bad voiceovers, lots of robot voiced animations that no staff member should have to sit through, and 7-hour-long recorded webinars. Balancing the workload of creating training while at the same time delivering training and managing other projects is difficult. Even as an employee whose job is dedicated to addressing training needs, I found it very hard. In the end, though, it has paid off. I've been able to train more staff via MPL education than I could have ever trained through in-person courses. Additionally, if staff or departments recognize the value in your work, you will receive requests to develop training that helps them meet their needs. Success can sometimes lead to more work than you may be able to handle. Once you start trying to capture all of the information that you think staff need to succeed, you may realize that it's pretty infinite. Setting a reasonable pace for the introduction of content while maintaining what has already been developed can be tricky. Finally, there may be staff resistance, mostly on the platform you have chosen. E-learning can be daunting if staff think it's too high-tech for their skill level.
As noted, the pre-training evaluation gave us an indicator of how familiar library staff were with Reader's Advisory and what topics they would like pursued. We have had 66 staff from both the information and circulation departments complete the pre-evaluation survey, but only approximately half of those staff have completed each of the individual supporting RA e-learning modules. Feedback from staff showed that the module selected was the one they were the most comfortable in making reading recommendations on. Once people got used to the setup of the modules and completed the genres they were most interested in, they began to explore other genres. I think people want to stick with what they are most familiar with and fear failure. There is also a drive for perfection. Staff that fail the digital badge quizzes often do not try again right away, whereas other staff that get 1 or 2 wrong will take the quiz over and over until they achieve a perfect score. Originally, we planned to roll out the genre modules first and then follow them up with the RA conversation and appeal factors. But after the surprising stats in the pre-evaluation feedback, we pushed the launch of these modules forward. Appeal factors was launched a week before the Reader's Advisory conversation module. This was to allow staff to start thinking about the language used to identify genres and to become comfortable with appeal elements. The modules for both have been quite popular, and between the 2 modules, the quiz results was higher for the Reader's Advisory conversation. Just over a third of staff got perfect scores on the appeal factors quiz, and 75% of those who did the RA conversation module got perfect quiz scores. Part of the appeal factors module was a tutorial on how to use Novelist, an activity where you could try to use appeal search terms and the database to find titles. Staff found this a challenging task, but a number refused to look at the answer sheet provided as they wanted to complete the task unassisted. A key component of the success of Markham Public Library education was the awareness of staff of these training modules. MPL Education was launched with emails from Jodi and the senior management team. The emails highlighted the benefits of this new training system and outlined the various subjects that modules have been created for. Jodi also regularly emails the system with updated modules, links, and reminders. All MPL branches hold regular stand-up meetings at the start of each shift to share news and updates for the system and the branch. These stand-up meetings were used as an opportunity for branch managers to promote MPL education and to encourage staff to find time to complete them. The most important part of the promotion of MPL education was library staff. Jodi and I worked with colleagues at each branch to get them to become champions of the training modules. These champions encouraged their colleagues to complete the modules and share their experiences with the modules of the stand-up meetings. These staff members were invaluable to the project as they got staff to buy in and they were able to share their feedback with us so that we could determine how the training was being received and if we needed to modify how the modules were being promoted and rolled out. To encourage the completion of the modules and to hopefully attract more champions, library staff receive an incentive for completing each module. Once a staff member passes a module, they receive a digital badge that they can collect. These badges allow staff to easily track what modules they have completed and to show the progress they are making in the training. Although we have had staff ask us for a more physical incentive, I strongly believe that the best incentive is the feeling of accomplishment you get when you get perfect on a module and have learned something new. Going forward, the MPL education modules will be made part of the training and development plans of library staff. New library staff will use the modules as part of their onboarding into the systems and will have to complete the modules in a certain time frame. Existing library staff will have the MPL education modules incorporated into their annual development plans and performance reviews. This will keep the staff accountable to continue their training and to access the modules for refreshers as needed. Although the experience of creating Markham Public Library education has largely been a positive one, there are a number of areas that we would improve on. For starters, we would have given ourselves a longer timeline to develop content and prepare the modules. 6 months was a tight deadline to find and create content and to fully develop plans for staff completion. As mentioned earlier in our outline of what modules would need to be created, we are still working on developing quite a few genres and the children's and teens components. Another area to work on is to increase communication and buy-in amongst the managers and supervisors. While the managers do discuss the modules at stand-up meetings and see the value in what we are doing, it is hard to prioritize the time between getting staff to work on the training and balancing their other workloads. These two should not be seen as competing interests, but as an aid to further develop and improve customer service and readers' advisory engagement. While we have our valued staff champions, there's still a large proportion of staff that need to continue to work on the modules. These reluctant staff could possibly skew our results as they may be less experienced in readers' advisory or have different attitudes towards readers' advisory than their more enthusiastic colleagues. Jodi and I sent out a midterm evaluation to see how people were impacted by the modules and if they had concerns about how it was being presented to them. Some feedback that staff have provided is that they are using the modules as starting points for further research and learning on readers' advisory. One of the goals of the Learning and Growth Department at MPL is to develop a culture of learning across the system. The readers' advisory training has shown success in this area. Staff reported approximately 2/3 of the frontline staff who completed the midterm evaluation reported that they have investigated readers' advisory further as a result of this training. For instance, one staff member was surprised at the number of unique subgenres in fantasy, that she looked up book recommendations for each one to see how they differed from each other. Another staff member was interested in videos on genres, that she looked up more videos on her own time about readers' advisory and shared them with her colleagues. Here are some of the positive feedback we received from staff regarding the training they have completed so far. Jodi and I hope that you too have learned something new as a result of our presentation. While this project hasn't been as easy or quick as we first imagined, we feel that the results has been super rewarding, with staff providing feedback that indicates that they are improving their readers' advisory skills, knowledge, and abilities, and growing in their positions. Our goal is to set our MPL colleagues up for success and support their learning needs. The great thing about eLearning is that once the work is done, it remains accessible and consistent in its online format, so that each new member to the team will receive the same building blocks as their coworkers. We thank you for joining us to hear about MPL education and hope that you have gotten some ideas on how you can develop and provide your staff with readers' advisory training.